In order to understand the concept of voltage drop or voltage drop, this question says the battery of EMF 24 volts is connected to three resistors P, Q, and R as illustrated in the diagram. Determine the voltage across the resistor Q. Okay, should determine the voltage across this resistor Q. So now the concept of EMF, as we have learned, is what? The voltage drop within the cell plus the voltage drop across, that's externally, voltage drop across the external resistance or load. So what concept of EMF tries to say is when you have a certain voltage source like this 24 volts, now this 24 volts is supplying between here and here 24 volts. That this 24 volts is the voltage across this point A and point B. If you can measure that with your instrument, it will give you that. Now, what voltage means is charges are built up on one opposite, charge is built up on one side of the cell and opposite is built at the negative side. So the build up here is 24 volt and over here is 0. That's why current is able to flow through this system. So now, while this is 24 volts, you measure between here and here. This portion of the circuit will drop its own voltage. That will take part of this voltage. And since this resistor P and Q are in parallel, the voltage across them will be the same. So they will take their own voltage, and whatever remains will be taken by this remaining resistor. So what I'm trying to say is from EMF, a voltage source, there is always a voltage drop across resistors or resistances. So it's just like when you have a cell like this, and then you have the first resistor, second resistor, and third resistor. If this is 24 volts, if EMF from here is 24 volts, by the time it gets to the last one, after the last one, the EMF reading will be 0 voltage there. So that means each of these resistors R1, R2, and R3 will take a part of this voltage. So depending on the value of the resistance, if this first one takes 10, that means these two ones are left to share what? 14 volts. So assuming these two resistors R2 and R3 are the same, that means they will share the voltage equally. So that remaining 14 volts will be shared 7 volts here, 7 volts here. So that's what we mean by voltage drop. So when a battery or a cell has a voltage, by the time it begins to supply to loads or resistance, each resistance is dropping the voltage. So that means the voltage you measure across R1 will not be the same across R2 and will not be the same across R3, except all the resistances are the same. So each resistance will be taking their own voltage. That's what we mean by voltage drop. That's why in power transmission, when the power from the alternators, they step up the power to a very high voltage, 33,000 volts or the 3 kV, 30,000 kilovolts. And then where they step it up is that so that as the power is transmitting, all the resistance and everything, before voltage will be dropping before it reach to your household where you'll be consuming about 240 volts, and then it will drop to 0 volts. So each resistance is taking it. So let's answer this question here. So now we've been told that the voltage drop across resistor R is what? 14 volts. That means what is left to share between P and Q is what? 10 volts. And being that P and Q are in parallel, that means their voltage across them will be the same. They will be sharing that remaining 10 volts. So answer here is B. So if I wanted to write it mathematically, I would say 24 equals to equals to V of R plus V V of what? PQ, because PQ are in parallel, they will share the same voltage. So now you have 24 equals to 14 plus voltage across PQ. Since they are in parallel, they will share the same voltage. So if you make that the subject PQ, that will give you 24 minus 14 to give us 10. So the voltage drop across P resistance PQ will be 10. So Q on its own is also seeing this 10 volts. Okay, that is that.